We talked about the anchor text a little bit. That's sort of the heart of the link. Most of the links that I get, especially to my company homepage, are where the link is my company name. If I had my druthers, I would actually call them all back and say, could you change that? I'd love it if you link to me with keyword search engine marketing instead. But you can't, since I didn't ask most of those people for links, I can't really call them up and ask them to change them either. So I sort of make do with the fact that I have a link to our site that says Didit.com as opposed to search engine marketing. If I was having a discussion with somebody and they were going to link to me and they gave me my choice, I would say, well, how about search engine marketing or paid search campaign management or just paid search marketing or search guru or something else cool. I have enough links linking to me with just the domain name. So if you are going to bother doing link cultivation exercises, think about that anchor link and what else you'd like to come up high for. So do you guys remember whose website comes up #1 for miserable failure? Anybody? Yeah, I mean, this was the perfect example of the power of the anchor link in influencing relevance. Now, Google bombing is the practice of basically taking a phrase or a term that nobody really wants to rank high for anyway, and then creating a whole bunch of people who create an anchor link to a page for that particular keyword. And what that does is it makes that page come up high for that particular thing. So George W. Bush's bio page comes up #1. So interestingly, there were 2 retaliations from this, because this was actually, I believe, the dean's campaign staffers who thought this would be fun because they were sort of geeky. And they were like, ooh, let's Google bomb George Bush for miserable failures. So they did. And then the Republicans said, oh yeah, we're going to Google bomb Jimmy Carter for the same thing. So the #1 and #2 results are George Bush and Jimmy Carter, both apparently, according to Google, miserable failures. Interestingly, the other response that the Republican geeks took was to temporarily get John Kerry to come up #1 for waffle, which I thought was pretty funny, actually. But, Google bombing doesn't have a whole lot of practical application, but what it illustrates is the power of the link, because nowhere on either the George Bush or Jimmy Carter bio pages does either the word miserable or failure show up, right? So the power of the links was so high that it was able to override the fact that there's 0 content in the titles or on the pages that relate to that. Now, interestingly, the story wasn't over yet, and I learned just recently that now so many more people have continued the miserable failure link campaign to George Bush's bio that now, for just failure without miserable, he's coming up #1. So, oh really? Okay. See, I'm not up on all the Google bombing, but it's what happens when search marketers have nothing better to do, which we're all pretty busy these days. So, other than the ones who run political blogs, everyone's pretty busy. But I mention the illustration really just because it underscores the power of those anchor links. So it's why, if I could go to everybody who links to me and I could get them to change it all to search engine marketer or search engine marketing, or search engine optimization, whatever, that would be my preference, because then I might have a chance of coming up higher for search engine marketing. It works in Yahoo too, so the Yahoo result for miserable failure isn't that much different. Paid external links, as has been asked earlier, they don't transmit PageRank. When they go through an ad server, you don't get the benefit of that link from the perspective of raising your search visibility. Only true direct links count. So how do you select sites for a link request? Now, how do you know whether or not it's somebody you should even bother calling on the phone or sending an email or sending a fax? Usually people look at the PageRank in the Google PageRank meter, which shows up in your toolbar. And actually, I also have an additional extension installed on Firefox to put it down there as well. But essentially it's a rank from 1 to 10. It's very similar to the Richter scale, and it's a logarithmic scale, meaning that to get from a 1 to a 2 is 10 times, and 2 to a 3 is 10 times, and 3 to a 4. So you end up getting from a 2 to a 4 is 100 times. You need 100 times more transmitted reputation in order to get that. So, as you surf around the web, the reason the search engine marketing community all have the Google toolbar installed on their browsers is because everywhere they go, they can see the page rank. And it's just, you become sort of unhealthily obsessed by it. But because it's not a true indication of page rank, it's actually just a proxy for it. But it's just sort of interesting to see, who's got which page rank. I picked Apple because it's one of the few sites that has a page rank of 10, meaning that, it's basically like one of the top 10 sites. Even Yahoo by itself, I think, has a page rank of 9 because Yahoo actually ends up splitting its page rank across, search.yahoo, personals.yahoo, groups.yahoo. So they actually don't have it all consolidated together the way Apple does. So as you surf around, you can actually see what everybody's page rank is. So we'll do a quick link request brainstorming exercise. Think about all the sites that you're aware of, that if you could ask them for a link and sort of weigh that against the possibility of getting a link, who you'd like to ask for a link from. And think about stuff that's out of the box too. So your suppliers. Actually, the funny story while you guys start on this. I was chatting with a friend of mine who's very active in search marketing. He's a e-commerce store, and he said, I got some really great links last week because one of my suppliers wanted me to reorder for the holiday season, and I told him I won't reorder from you unless you give me a link at least one step or less off of your homepage. And of course the supplier wanted the order because it was like a $400,000 order of something. So it was blackmail, clear and simple. It was link blackmail. But you could also say it was just a negotiated discussion. It was sort of an interesting way of sort of getting a link from an unorthodox place. So I basically told my tech team next time our bandwidth providers want to renew their contracts, let's tell them, oh sure, we'll renew our bandwidth contracts, but there's one more thing that we'll want. So there's all sorts of ways of getting links from great places.